Good morning, we've got a little bit of smart doll crochet here today. I have Infinity joining me on this one, and she's modelling her little cap, peak cap, I don't know quite what you want to call it. It's like a little sun hat, a nice little peak here, and we've got some little hole details there as well. I have done one similar in the past, but it was plain, so I thought, well, let's just sort of make it a little bit more summery and add some more detail in there. So I'm going to pop her to one side. I'm going to pinch her hat first though. Let's pinch your hat, missus. Tidy that hat hair and pop you over there. And let's have another look at the hat. So here it is. It is quite simple to do. It involves 2 stitches. We have double crochets and we have half trebles. So I think anybody could do it. Just take your time. It is done in a double knit cotton. Now this is a Patons. That's P-A-T-O-N-S. 100% cotton. I love their cotton because it's got a nice shine to it, it's got nice mercerization, and they also do the same colours in a 4-ply, so it's great. I can make for the larger dolls and I can make for the small dolls in exactly the same design, so that is fabulous. Because it's a cotton, it doesn't have a lot of stretch, so you do need to make sure you get a good fit on the hat, but it does also fit other dolls, remember, not just smart dolls. I haven't got to pull it, mine are dolls and biles, but it fits them, so that's sort of that size between 8 and 9 inch, but like I said, there's not as much stretch on this style, so you do have to watch for that, whereas a normal acrylic yarn is going to stretch quite a bit. We're going to be using a 3.5mm crochet hook, and I just got my little notions here, my needles, my scissors, etc. So I'll pop that over there. I have got a stitch marker there as well, but there's certain points you need to use it and certain points you don't. So let's get on with this hat. I'm going to undo a little bit of yarn because the cotton doesn't roll very well and it'll end up on the floor. I know it will. So here we go. We're going to be doing our slip knot onto the hook. Don't pull it too tight because again, it don't get a lot of give from cotton. Into your normal hand position, however suits yourself. And you're going to do 2 chain. It starts very amigurumi-esque, but there are other variations in there. Into this first chain, and remember we are doing UK terminology, they're going to be double crochets. So we're going to do 6 into this first chain. So in the chain, pull it through, we have 2 on the hook, pull it through again, and you're going to do that 5 more times. In, pull through, that's 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. That's our first round. Obviously we need to increase from there. I'm just going to pull that tight. Oh, now we're going to do 2 double crochets into each of those 6 to give us 12, counting from the back to find the first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. In we go. So 2 double crochets in each one. So that's 1, 2 in our first one. Into our second one. 1, 2. Into number 3. 1, 2. Number 4. 1, 2. Number 5. 1, 2, and our last one, number 6. 1 and and drop it. No, and 2. Here we go. So we now have, I'll tighten that up again. You really do need to tighten these up with cottons because it can come loose quite easy. But you are going to be sewing this in at the end, so make sure you do it nice and securely. We're now going to do again 2 into every single one because we've got 12 now, so we will end up with 24. So off we go. This is our first one with 2 double crochets. Our second one. Around my finger a bit funny there. Our third one, so 2 double crochets in every single one of those 12. Our fourth one. Number 5. I'm going to have to undo the yarn a little bit because it's dragging. So that was number 5. Don't let me forget number 5 because I always forget when I do this. So that was number 5. Number 6, 2 double crochets in number 6. 2 double in number 7. Number 8. number 9, there's 2 in, remember, 2 in number 10, 2 in number 11, and 2 in number 12. If you're worried you may have missed a stitch or something, this is a good time to sort of actually count. And again, the beauty of counting with a cotton, you can see the stitches really well. You can see each little part, so it's quite easy to count. So always count from this end and round. We should have 24. I'm just going to trust I have got 24 because we have another increase. Now this one's not going to be a 2 in each, it's going to be a 2 in 1 and a 1 in the next 2, if that makes sense. So this first one will have 2 double crochets, then this one will have 1, and this one will have 1, and you're going to repeat that all the way round. If you wish to put a stitch marker in now, especially if you sort of got other people distracting you or anything like that, it might be a good idea, but I'm going to count. It's going to be 8 sets we're doing. Okay, so this is our first set. So we have 2 in 1, 1 in the next 2, that's 1 and 2. That's our first set, so we're going to do that another 7 times. So we have 2 in the first bit, we have a 1, and we have a 1. That's my second set. We have a 2 in the first one, then we have a 1, and we have a 1. That's our third set. Fourth set coming up. We have a 2, we have a 1, we have a 1. Number 5 set. We have a 2, we have a 1, we drop it, no we don't, we have a 2. Number 6. We have 2, we have 1, we have 1. So that was set number 6. We've got number 7 now, so we're almost there. We have a 2, we have a 1, a 1. We've got one more set to go, so we have a 2, and then we have a 1 and a 1, and we are round. You'll get this slight sort of, you can see it sort of bows a little bit, but that's okay, that will settle as you continue. We're now going to be moving on to half trebles, and because of that I'm going to make my next stitch a slip stitch, because I want that to be my starting point. And we're going to have to start with 2 chain, because what you usually have to do if you're starting with either a treble or a half treble round, well, it's 3 if it's a treble. So we go 1, 2, that's counted as our first half treble, and we're going to do our second one directly below. Can you see we've got a little space here where you did the slip stitch, and that is where you're going to do your next half treble. Half treble is yarn round into the space, pull your yarn through. You should end up with 3 on the hook, and we're going to pull it through all 3 in one swoop if you can, or bit by bit. So I'll show you both ways. If you're doing it all together, we're through. We're going to do 1 chain. You're going to miss a stitch, and into the following stitch 2 half trebles. So I'll do it 2 different ways. So we'll pull it through, we've got 3 on the hook. Now you can go 2, 1, as long as it's sort of in one sweep, but again another one in the same space, or you could do 1, 1, 1. Depends on how you're used to doing it. Chain, miss 1, 2 half trebles. Ideally, as you get comfortable with it, it should come through all together, but don't rush that. It's more important you feel comfortable with the stitch. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, sometimes I do it in 2 parts. So basically we have 2 half trebles, 1 chain, miss 1, 2 half trebles, 1 chain, miss 1. I don't know if that'll show, that was a call. Right, chain, miss 1, 2 half trebles. So your 2 half trebles are your increase. 1 chain, miss 1, 2 half trebles, 1 chain, miss 1, 2 half trebles. And you're just basically doing that all the way around until you get back to that first 2 chain. So we have a chain, miss 1, 2 half trebles. They'll go more smoothly as you get used to them, but I say it's no race. Just pause me, you go all the way around, and then we'll pick it up together after if that's what you'd like to do. So we miss one, half treble, half treble, chain, miss one, 2 half trebles, 1, 2, chain, miss one, 2 half trebles, chain, miss one, 2 half trebles, 1 and 2 and chain. So we're almost there now. Miss one, 2 half trebles, chain, miss one, 2 half trebles. Sort of like a little mantra you say to yourself as you're going round. Miss one, 2 half trebles, and a chain, miss one, 2 half trebles. We're almost there, we're almost back. 1 chain, we've got 1 more set of half trebles, so we miss one, 2 half trebles, 1 chain, and remember we had 2 chain here to start, so we're going to try and get into the top of that 2 chain, and we're going to do a slip stitch. So we're just joining it together basically. So this is the top of the hat, as you can see there. Now our next round is going to be double crochets, and it's going to be a double crochet into every stitch, including the chain space. Now this is up to you how you do it, but I am inclined to sort of looks like I'm doing more in the chain space than I am, but it still adds up. So if you think you've got 1, 2, 3, so in that area you need to get 3 stitches, because this is counted as a stitch. So it's up to you whether you go into the hole or whether you go into the chain. I like to go in the hole because I think it gives a little bit more definition to the stitches. So we're going to start with 1 chain. It just lets us know where and when we start a little bit easier. And I'm going to do a stitch directly below, and that's my first stitch. That chain didn't count as anything. Now what I do, now this is a little bit bad, but it still works out at 3 stitches. Because I have the whole space now, I'm actually going to do 2 in there. Yeah? And then look, you can see that one's obvious, so then I'm going to go in that one. Then I'm going to do 2 in the space. It works out the same, but it's just a bit of a cheats way of doing it, because ideally what you should be trying to do is getting in the top of these 2 half trebles, but that's not always so easy. So that's an obvious one, so I know I need 2 to make it up, so I'm going to pop the 2 in there. So I'm going to do 1 in that space that's obvious, then 2 in the chain space. As I say, it still gives me 3 stitches in that little area, so I'm going to go into the hole there, and then 2 in the chain space, into the hole, and 2 into the chain space. I'm sure the purists among you would sort of be cringing at this point, because I should be going in the top of each stitch, but it's not always necessary, and I think it actually gives a bit more definition. So you can see the obvious one, and then 2 in the chain space, 1 in the obvious one, and 2 in the chain space. In a pattern it will say into the top of each stitch and 1 in the chain space, because that is how it would have to be worded, but you'll all have your own ways of modifying it, and I just find this a little bit neater. So, and it's a bit harder to explain that, so what most patterns will just say in the top off. So 2 in the chain space. Starting to flatten it out a little bit. Can you see it gives more definition to these little of holes? It almost makes them more square because of where the stitches are. So we're going to go 1 in that one, which is a top of a half treble, and 2 in the chain space. 1 and a 2. Oh, or not. We have a 1. And we have a 2. It's a little bit hard to explain that one. I hope that was clear enough. 1, and again, because it's cotton, I think that at least the yarn is showing you a little bit easier. If that was a double, just a normal double knit acrylic, it wouldn't show so well. But because it is cotton, you can see the holes much better. It's one of the reasons I do like working in a cotton, whether it be a fine cotton or whether it be a thick cotton. The only thing is, I do find it makes my hands ache if I do too much work with a cotton, because it is a much stiffer yarn and it can feel a little uncomfortable after a while. Now we need 2 in this very last space. I can remember we did the chain, and the reason I did the chain is because then it's easier to do a slip stitch into it. Whereas if you'd just gone round with double crochets, it would have been very hard to get into that first stitch. We are now going back to our half trebles. That is why I've done a slip stitch there. But I'm going to do 3 chain. The reason being, so I'm going to do the 3 chain first, is this 3 chain counts as 1 half treble and 1 chain. So this does actually count as a stitch. We are then going to miss 1. So this is the one we're in now. We're going to miss this one, and then we're going to do a half treble in there. 1 chain. We're going to miss 1, half treble in the next one. So you're alternating all the way round. So half treble, yarn round, miss, that's one we're in, miss this one, into this one. Half treble. Yep, 1 chain. Miss 1, half treble. And you're going to do that all the way round till we get back to the beginning. So 1 chain, miss 1, half treble. Miss 1, half treble. Don't forget that chain in between. I didn't say chain there, did I? Chain. Miss 1, half treble. Chain. Miss 1, half treble. Chain. Miss 1, half treble. Chain. So if I say chain to myself, because I'll sometimes do this in my head rather than just, as I've said before, rather than out loud. I do it out loud if there's a lot of distraction about, but I will sort of say that in my head. So I know half treble, chain, miss 1, half treble, chain, miss 1, and I'll say that to myself as I go round, like especially if there's distractions. Easy enough to undo if you do go wrong, but it's easier if you don't have to. So it was 1 chain after every single half treble. So you do half treble, 1 chain, miss 1, half treble, and it's all the way around. You don't need to keep up with me, sort of, or you may want to go way ahead of me. Everybody works at a different tempo. Oh, the yarn's mixed up again. Miss 1, half treble. Chain. Miss 1, half treble. Chain. Miss 1, half treble. Chain. Miss 1, half treble. And chain. So we're nearly round, Where are we? We've got to get round to here. So we do 1 chain, miss 1, half treble, chain, miss 1, half treble, chain, miss 1, half treble, chain. You can see the sort of shape of the pattern coming now, can't you? It is relatively simple. I do believe anybody, as long as you're happy with what a half treble is, I believe anybody could do this, beginner or advanced. And just take your time if you are a beginner, but I'm sure you'll get to the end if you just pace yourself. Maybe start the video, which might help, and sort of just absorb what's happening before you actually start. So we need 1 chain, miss 1, which we would have, into the top of this. Remember, it was 3 chain because the top one counts as a chain, not a half treble. So we need to go somewhere halfway, and we're going to do a slip stitch. So you can see how the patterning is now coming, but now we need to start shaping around the hat, which is what we're going to be doing. And on the next one, all you're going to be doing is 2 double crochets into each of those chain spaces. Right, now we're going to do these 2 double crochets. I just had to do a quick pause then to answer my daughter, so if it looks a little bit weird. So I've done 1 chain because I want to show where it's starting, and into each space 2 double crochets. Could not be any easier. Again, take your time, speed up, whatever you want to work at. I'll meet you at the other end one way or another. Now nice and steady. Again, nice and relaxed with the cotton because it can pull quite tight on the hands, and I think it's a bit of a sort of skill in one respect, but it's really just practice. The more you use a cotton, the more you'll feel comfortable with it. I know if I've not used one for a while, which I haven't done, I can already feel this on my fingers. It can make my fingers feel a bit sore. It sort of makes it sort of a little bit rough here. And it does make my hands ache a little bit using a cotton because it is stiffer, so there's less give there. But you do get used to it, and I really do love the results you can get from a decent cotton, and that is why I will use it, definitely use it. I might do a bag to go with this hat yet, using the same technique, using the holes. I think it might be a square bag. I know I've done which one did I do? Was it hexagonal? And I've done a round one. I don't think we've done a square one. I've done a square one, not on YouTube, but I don't know whether I've done a square one for you guys, so I might have to do that. So we're almost round. It's easy when it's just going into the space like before. It gives more definition, I think, to the actual square. If you want it to look more like a circle, obviously you'd go into the stitches, but I think if you go into the spaces, it just squares it off a little bit and gives a little bit more definition to the actual shape. We're nearly there. Couple more. And let's just slip stitch into the top of that first chain. In we go for now, because I want to show you what we've got. So you can see the shape is starting to come round on the hat. Yeah, so you can see it, but you can also see now we have some double crochet rounds. We have 2 more rounds that are just double crochet. So this is, if you do want to pop your stitch marker in, is a good place to do it. So again, especially if there's any distractions in the house, it sort of just reminds you basically. So I'm using my little Ernest because he's got some nice little turquoise swirls in his unicorn hair there. Would you call it hair? Mane? I don't know. I think it'd be hair, wouldn't it? So we're going to have 2 rounds that are just 1 double crochet into every single stitch. So off we go. 1 double crochet into each one. And again, look how easy it is when it's cotton, because the holes are so obvious where you're going. It's lovely. Apologies if I'm speeding up a little bit too much for some people here. Just slow me down. Or to be honest, you don't really need to watch this bit. Just tell yourself you've got 2 rounds of double crochets and just pause it and meet me at the other end. There's lots of different ways you can alter your settings on YouTube, which will help. The only thing with the slowing down is my voice does sound daft. So I think, to be honest, stopping and pausing is probably one of the best routes of doing it. Got my stitch marker rattling now. Little Ernest is rattling there. I do like this shape hat on the Smart Doll. I think it does look very cute. I know before, as I say, I did the plain ones and they were just working into the back loop. They work quite nice. I just thought, well, I wanted a summery hat, but then I thought, well, shall I do a brimmed hat? And I've done one similar to that. So I thought, let's go back to that peaked cap, because I know I'd not done one of those on here for you guys. I will be putting the pattern on. I haven't actually written the pattern up, apart from being in rough hand next to me on a piece of paper. So I do need to get that done this afternoon for you. So hopefully by the time the video is done, as long as I don't get any distractions, I will have the pattern up there for you to buy on my site. I've already taken some pictures of Infinity, so we've got some pictures to go on as well. And she does look really cute in these colours. Right, that was round 1. We need another round of just double crochets. So off we go. We're not going to stop start. We don't need to. That's if I can get in that first stitch. We don't need to stop start. We'll just do it amigurumi-esque on this. If you can avoid doing a stop start, you know, a slip stitch join and things like that, avoid it, because it will show. It gives you marks on your work. So if you're happy just to sort of carry on round when it's just something like this, just keep going round. Mix it up. I know it's a little sort of bit amigurumi, sort of more modern style crochet and old style, but it doesn't matter. You've got to work out which works out best for you. You see it's how it's coming down in the shape now. God, this light feels warm today. I've got this it's like a spotlight on me. It's because I've got the heating on as well, because it's really cold outside, so I thought I'll put the heating on. But now I've got this light on me as well. It's a little bit warm. It's better to be warm. And I'm grateful we can be warm. Almost round. You can see it's coming round into a little hat shape now. Few more to go, and then we're going to actually be repeating the patterning we've already started, and then that's almost the end of the hat apart from the peak. Just a couple more to get round to Told Ernest. Told Ernest, I went a bit of Yorkshire then, you know from where I am. You'll wonder what I'm talking about. Just round to the stitch marker anyway. There he is. So we are now here. So now we've repeated this pattern again, this one that's here. So where you did the half treble, miss one, we're going to do that again, and then again the rows of double crochets, and then we're going to be getting ready to do the peak. So that was quite good, wasn't it? But because we're going to be now moving half trebles again, we're going to have to do that slip stitch. I'll leave Ernest in there because I'll need him in a few moments. So I'm going to do 3 chain, remember, because that counts as 1 half treble, 1 chain. We miss one, we half treble into our next one. We do a chain, we miss one, half treble. So it's exactly the same as we did before. Remember, into that chain every time you've done a half treble. So half treble chain, just tell yourself that. Miss one. Half treble chain, miss one. So it's exactly the same. You're just repeating the pattern over. And that's how I will write it out in a pattern. I will just say repeat rows, etc, etc. Miss one and round. Miss one, chain, miss one, half treble, miss one. You're not getting any more stitches now, so it's not like it's not increasing at all at this point. So you don't have to worry too much about counting. If you look, it should approximately line up. Just grab my scissors so you can sort of show like that. So they do line up together. So this one in line with this one in line with this one, but it might just very slightly go over because this is a little bit amigurumi, so it did spiral slightly. But near as damn it, they are underneath each other. If they weren't, it wouldn't matter. Just tell everybody it's a different pattern, as long as it still fits and it's even. I think that's the other thing. Miss one, half treble, chain, miss one, half treble, chain, miss one, half treble, chain. Miss one, miss one, half treble chain, miss one, half treble chain. Nearly there. Miss one, half treble, chain, miss one, last one, half treble. Don't forget that last chain though. And remember, this was 3, so one of those counted as a chain, so you need to get approximately in the top of the 2 and slip stitch join. We now have our 2 double crochets into each chain space. So this time I did start with a chain in, 2 double crochets. So you're not going into top of any stitches, you're just going in that space. I think after you've done that a few times, if it's not something you're used to doing, because if you've read a pattern and it probably says 1 double crochet into each stitch, including the chain space, as I mentioned before, I think you would be trying to get in to here I know I did for a while, but there's no need for it. Just go straight into, I will write on the pattern this time though, 2 double crochets into each chain, 1 chain space. That is how it will be worded. But it makes it so much easier. Don't make things harder for yourself. You need to enjoy your crochet. Your crochet is there to relax, to gain you something nice to be either in your home or for your dolls or for your children, your grandchildren, your pets. You're doing it because you want to do it and you enjoy it. And most people do say that crochet does relax them. I know myself included, and a lot of friends, it has helped with depression, etc. It's just a creative outlet. It's something nice to do. I know, as I mentioned on one of my other videos, I don't think it was on a doll one though, that during lockdown my daughter started crocheting. Now when she was younger she wouldn't have thought twice. She's got 2 children now. She wants to make something for the home and she started crocheting and she's done an exceptional job. She has picked it up so quickly because when she was younger she just didn't want to learn. But yeah, she's doing an amazing job. The cat absolutely loves it though. The cat keeps trying to sleep on it. She sent me a really cute picture of the cat inside it the other day while she was trying to crochet. So as much as it's supposed to be a throw for her sofa, I think it might end up being more with the cat. But it was nice to see. But she has enjoyed it, and I'll say it's just a bit of a release, I think. And we've got the last 2. Now I'm going to slip stitch. Don't really need to, I could have just continued round. And I need 2 more rounds of just double crochets. Okay, so off we go. Just double crochet, 1 in every single stitch. It is going to be predominantly double crochets from now on because the peak is done sort of a bit of each. But there is quite a bit to do for that. So we just got 2 rounds of double crochet. So again, off you go, your own speed, and I'll see you in a second when we get round these 2. So if you want to pause me. I'm trying to control myself not to do another smart doll video this week because I have some more goodies from Bella's Doll Clothes. Plus she's sort of sent me a little sort of preview of one of the other pieces that she's made, and I'm pretty sure she's not put it up yet, so you might all want to see that. But I'm going to do it next week. I'm going to wait. I've opened it. I couldn't resist it. But I want to wait because I'm hoping to make a couple little crochet items to go with the outfits, so I can show you sort of a bit of mine as well as a bit of Cheryl's, and possibly some of them might be videos. The problem being is if it's a top or a cardigan or something bigger, it takes a while to make. So it would be a very long video. I mean, please let me know if you're not bothered about it being a long video. I'm not bothered about sitting and making it as a long video, although it might have to be in 2 parts. But I know not everybody would want to sit through all that. So that's what puts me off making anything bigger, even though people have asked me. Right, we're round with number 1. Off we go with number 2. So that's why I've mainly stayed with accessories rather than outfits. There are a couple of other crochet outfits on my website though, so if you're wanting to look for other things, the bigger items I will sort of slide on there. But again, I think they are still predominantly accessories, but there's a couple of bits. I think there's a top on there and some bikinis, shorts and things like that. So this is our second round of just 1 double crochet into each stitch. We're about halfway around on our last round. You can see the hat really properly shaping up now. You could, I mean, I know I did do a beanie very similar to this, but that was just in, did I do it in a cotton? I can't actually even remember what I did it in. It's a very similar sort of style, so you could sort of stop after this round and say, that's it, that'll do, that'll be a beanie. But I just thought it'd be nice to have that peak on it. almost there, and then it's peak time. It's quite a wide peak, but I quite like that because I think it sort of shapes around the Smart Doll's face. It is windy out there, I can hear it pushing the doors. Right, so I'm going to say I'm round. I'm now going to take Ernest out. I do not need the stitch marker in there, so over you go, Ernest. And we're going to be starting on this brim. Now, it's a bit of a weird one. I'm not going to go straight into the brim. I split it up into 2 parts. So I'm going to do 16 double crochets. Just bear with me, so let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 and 16, and pause for a second. It will make sense when we do the next bit. We are now going to do 2 half trebles in each of the next 16, but we're going to be working in the front loop. So when I'm referring to front loop, as you know, there's these 2 loops here. So we've got 1 and 2. It's going to be this front one, and we're only going to pick up, I will be picking the next one up, but just for demonstration, we're only going to be picking this front bit up. Now be careful, because this can make it a bit loose, so make sure you keep your stitches nice and tight as you're working. So I'm not going to do a slip stitch join or anything like that. I'm just going to go straight into it. So yarn round, pick up the front loop and pull it through half treble. Again, another half treble in the same one. Can you see how it does loosen it a bit? Don't worry about that, that will settle. So that was our first one. We'll need 16 of those sets. So 2 half trebles in the next front loop. That's 2. 2 half trebles in the next front loop, making 3. And again, keep going. Making 4. Into our 5th. Take your time picking up this front loop. If you're not sure what you're doing, really do 1 stitch, stop, check it, and keep going round like that. If you lose count like I've just done, it's not a problem, because we have 2 in there, 2 in there, 2 in there, 2 in there, and 2 in there. So you can count them as 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we need 16. So we've got to keep going. 2 in the next one. So that's 6, isn't it? And number 7. Number 8, number 9, number 10. So we're over halfway now at least. It is a bit awkward when you're picking up that front loop, but it is worth it. There is a reason, I will tell you in a minute. Is that 12? We'll count it in a second. We'll go for 13. 14, 15 and 16, and now I'm going to check because I did lose count in that middle section. Now it does look like again it's gone all wobbly. That's okay, because the next stitches will flatten it out. Now I just want to briefly show you the reason I've picked up front loop is because it makes this stick out more, because can you see that's the back loop that's left there, and it just pushes the stitches out so it sits flatter as an actual sort of edge. So that is why I picked front loop for that particular reason. Let's double check this counting then. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I did miss one. Good job I checked. It's always worth taking that second to count. And 16. Now we're now going to go back to double crochets. We're not going to do anything but just go straight into it, and the full stitch this time now, not just the front loop, and there should be 16 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 and 16, and what that should take you to is the middle back of your hat, which it does. So we are now gonna do another round, but this time I'm just double checking what I've written. Let me check what I did there. Okay, so now we're going to just be working the 16 double crochets, but then we're going to go working straight over this brim, straight over it. So let's just get to the brim first. So you can count if you want, but I think it's pretty obvious where the half trebles start, so we'll just stop when we get to that. Double check what we're doing. The only reason I'm saying double check is because I've just looked over at my work and I have written half treble question mark. I'm pretty sure they should be double crochets, but there's a reason, so I put that. Sometimes I'll put little notations and I don't even know what I'm on about. So that takes me back to the start of the brim. I'm now just going to have a quick look at this one. I'm pretty sure that they are double crochets. They are. We are now going to do 1 double crochet into each of these. It'll start to flatten out that sort of wibbly wobbly bit. So off we go, 1 double crochet. Now there's quite a lot in this brim now, because obviously there were 16, but we did twice, so you've actually got 32 little stitches to go over there. But it does flatten it out. I know, like I say, it looks as if it was really sort of wavy, but sometimes that happens, and then for you to do the next stitch it straightens it back out. So don't over worry if that happens. If you're making a piece and it's continually doing that, there's a good chance you've been increasing too much, so you might need to do a little count and check what you've been doing. Can you see how it's flattening out now? Look, you see how it's shaping. So it didn't need to matter, but we needed it to double because we wanted a bit of shape on that brim. We need the brim obviously to stick out. We're almost round the brim. And then when we've got to the end of this brim, we've got to do 16 stitches to get to the back of the hat again. And then we've only got 1 more round. Almost there with the brim. Oh, careful where you put the stitch. Make sure you are getting the whole stitch there this time. The ball's now jumping around. Go over there, wool. We were discussing that on one of my other videos. Is it wool? Is it yarn? I don't know. I think it depends which generation you came from. I grew up with it being wool, but it is now referred to as being yarn 90% of the time. So I do say yarn as well. So now we're going to do, you can count if you want. So let's say that's 2. We will count, we'll be good. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 and 16. So we're at the back of the hat. So if you just sort of do that, you can check, yes, I'm at the back. I'm happy with that. We're now going to do 16 slip stitches. So that is up to the brim. So 16. We're going to count now. Remember, a slip stitch, it's going to go through the whole stitch. We're going to pull it through and just pull it through. Yes. So we go in, grab the yarn, pull it through, just pull it straight through. Now I do a little twist when I'm doing mine, so when I do it I sort of do this and then I sort of angle it. It's entirely up to you, but basically you have to grab your yarn and you just pull it through that first loop. So in, grab it, pull it through that first loop, and that is our slip stitch. It edges it nicely. That is the other reason I've done a slip stitch. Sometimes you have to be careful with slip stitches because they can make your work go tight where you've done one. In this particular case it's okay. It edges, there you can see, you get sort of a nice edge. So this is without, this is with. It just, I think it just finishes it off, but sometimes you can't do it because it will pull the yarn too tight. See, I said yarn that time. So we're almost there. Is that a slip stitch? 1 more, I think, slip stitch. And now though, over the brim, I'm not going to do slip stitches. It seems a bit silly after what I've just said, but I wanted a little bit of stretch there. So we're going to do just 1 double crochet into each of those brims. because I wanted it a bit bigger. These slip stitches are shorter stitch rather than the double crochet, and I still needed the brim to have a little bit more sort of thickness to it. So just one double crochet all the way along. I think we're nearly done, aren't we? That's pretty good. You don't have to do it in this cotton. You could do it in an acrylic yarn. It will just be much softer, that's all. And I'm not 100% sure how the brim will work. I suppose if you've got a short brim, it would stick out. But I just think the cotton just gives that stiffness that a cap would have compared with a normal just sort of pull on woolly hat. But you could do it just in a woolly one. In fact, I might try myself. I've got some new yarn and I'll see how it works. Might work. I think it would look, I say, more like a woolly hat, and I was trying to sort of give you sort of more of a summery feel. I think the cotton gives you a summery feel as well. I will be doing a couple of these for my website, and also, fingers crossed, if we have Dollycon this year, I'll be popping a couple in my Dollycon box as well. Right, we're round, we're round. Let's double check. Yes, we are. So we now need to slip stitch all the way back to those first slip stitches. And that's it, you have finished. So remember, yarn in, pull it through, just pull it through the loop. In, pull it through, just pull it through the loop. All the way around until we get to that centre back. I've not counted because you'll know as soon as you get to the slip stitch, because you will not get in a slip stitch very easy. So you'll know that you're actually at that end point as soon as you can't get in the stitch, basically. But if you were wanting to count and be good, there was 16 there. Oh, what's that? Oh, another notification just come up on my phone. Nothing exciting. So I know I can't get in that one very easy, so I know I'm round now. So all we need to do, snip the yarn and pull it through, and we've done. That is it. Now you also find you'll need a little bit of shaping with your cotton, so just sort of give it a little bit of pull about. I'm going to grab Infinity and show you. Now obviously we need our ends to be sewn in, so I'm going to pop it onto a head. Now sometimes if it's been packed or something like this, I know I'm worried when I'm sending them out to people, you know, it might squash or something. You just need a very gentle pull into shape and it'll stay there. Yep, so there we have our little cap for our smart doll, a little summer cap rather than a winter cap. So she's got a little bit of sunshade here, and I think that works quite well. I'm quite pleased with that one, and as I say, I really do love working with the cotton. So if you enjoyed that, please click on that bell for notifications of anything else to come. Please like, subscribe and share, and thank you very much for watching, and we will see you soon. And don't forget to join me when I show you the new range from Bella's Dolls Clothes, because they are so lovely. So I will see you all very soon. Bye.